Okay, gang. So we are back once again at the Les Paul wall at my buddy Todd Tillemans. Anything Audio is what he calls his company here in the Nashville area, and you can look them up if you need anything audio, or maybe what a good hamburger or something like that. No, probably not the hamburger, but actually, if you have tannoy monitors that need work, Todd is the guy in all of North America to be doing that. As a matter of fact, Tannoy brings their tannoys to Todd when they have problems with them. Okay, so last week you heard us compare the Vibrolux, the custom Vibrolux Reverb, which is this is an amp that's currently being made. It's a modern Fender product with its stock Jensen speakers, which are the made in Italy Alnico P10Rs. Again, current production speakers to another exact same matching Vibrolux, and we compared it with Eminence Alnico blue frame speakers. We compared it with the WGS Vet 10s, which are the fairly small, inexpensive ceramic magnet speakers that WGS makes. And we also compared it to some vintage CTS Alnico speakers from the glory days of the 60s, basically blackface era Alnico CTS speakers. And of that whole bunch, the winners were probably the CTSs by a hair. Second place was most definitely the WGS Vet 10s, which came very close to matching the sweetness and the roundness of the vintage CTS speakers. Probably the losers of the whole bunch were the Eminence blue frames. They were just the most ice-picky sounding, if you will. And the Jensens that come stock in here, the P10Qs, not bad speakers, really good sounding amps when it comes right down to it. But you could throw a pair of the WGS Veteran 10s in it and actually make it a better sounding amp for a total investment of like $60, $70, which is pretty amazing. And the Vet 10s, by the way, are also capable of handling just a little bit more power, so you might not blow them quite as quick. And again, I will mention, by the way, that these two amps were originally George Thorogood's amps. He got, I think, 4 of these from Fender, is that right? 2 of them he took out on the road with him. The other 2 he kept for studio use and standby use. These are the 2 that he kept for studio and standby use, so they have not been ragged out or worn out real bad. They're in pretty much mint condition. And what I thought was interesting is when Fender set him up with these Vibroluxes, they also sent him enough spare speakers so that he could blow every speaker in every one of his Vibroluxes and he would have a replacement for it. And the strange thing is, this is something that made me and Todd kind of scratch our head a little bit. Even though the amps came with the Jensen P10 Alnico blue frame speakers in them, the Fender direct replacement part that is listed as being the OEM part for this amp was, in fact, the Eminence blue frames, which made us wonder if maybe the Eminence is a speaker that's just a little bit more capable of handling, what George Thorogood might do to one of these poor, unsuspecting little amplifiers, right? So today we have the shootout that I have been actually waiting for 2 years now, since I actually got the speakers myself. This Vibrolux to my left, to your right, does in fact have a pair of the WGS G10 speakers in it, and it actually has one of the G10A Alnicos and one of the G10C ceramics, because that's what I bought. I purchased these speakers with my own money. That's how much I loved them. I had them sent to me to review for Vintage Guitar Magazine, and I had to keep them, so I paid for them. And by the way, if you're wondering, the price difference, the Alnico speaker costs about 3 times as much as a ceramic speaker, and I'll be straight up honest with you, the ceramic speaker gives you about 90% of the bang of the Alnico version for about a third of the cost. So if you're on a budget, I would definitely say you can't go wrong with the C10 ceramic version. However, if you're one of those people and you have the funds and you are a tone seeker deluxe and you're after that last 5 or 10% of your tone that's been eluding you, it's probably worth it to spend just a little bit extra money, or actually a lot of extra money, and get the Alnico version. But again, Alnico Jensen's over here, the P10 reproductions made in Italy, and in this amp now made in good old Paducah, Kentucky, USA, a pair of the G series, a G10A and a G10C from WGS. Now, I want to tell you, right off the bat, the G series are louder. We had no idea. I told Todd that I really didn't know what was going to happen with this, if there really was going to be, a notable change or not. I knew I loved these G10s all by themselves in 110 combos, that they just took a 110 combo and lit it up and made it come alive. Didn't know what they would do in a pair like this. In essence, what they have done is the same thing they do in a 110 combo. They've made it huge. They have made this 210 amplifier sound like it's a 410 amplifier. Literally, when we turned the two amps on, we thought we had a tube problem in the one that had the WGSs in it, because it was just hissing so much louder than the other one is. It was hissing louder simply because the speakers are so much more efficient. And I'm running this, by the way, the mics are running through a Presonus M80 mic pre, which has a summing bus on it, and then it is running into a compressor limiter before going to the camera. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat that when we hit the one with the G10s, the compressor is going to be kicking in pretty good and thoroughly. Up until now, the compressor has basically been just sitting there doing nothing. We are seeing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a 7 to 10 dB volume increase over here, which is enormous, quite honestly. But I'm going to start doing the same stuff that we were doing last week on the Jensens that come factory stock, and then I'll switch over to the P10, to the WGS C10s in this Vibrolux. You ready? Now we'll go to the WGS C10s. I'll do some quick changes for you here. Okay, now we'll go for that like Stevie Ray Vaughan thing that I do up on the neck pickup, a little bit of that, starting out again with our stock amp. Okay, we're going over to the WGS C10s now. Main difference we notice there is definitely a bigger, beefier bottom end on the whole thing, and again, it's just plain louder as well. Let's see. Last thing we're going to do is the sort of country rockabilly thing, single coil with all the single coil hum on the bridge pickup, and let's see. We'll start again with our stock Jensens. And go over to the WGS. Do a couple of quicker switches for you, starting on stock. Real quick change here. Original. WGS. Okay, so definitely our WGS G10A and G10C combo over here is rocking the house with a lot more volume and a lot more bottom end girth, and that's kind of what I expected to see. Another thing, by the way, is both of these speakers are rated at 75 watts apiece, so you don't have to worry about shredding. We could send this amp out on the road with George Thorogood and not have to worry about giving him spare speakers. I'll put it that way. I don't think he's going to touch these. Whereas the Jensen P10Rs that are in this thing, are they P10Rs or P10Qs? P10Rs. The 40 watts that this puts out, especially through somebody who's going to run it, good and overdriven the whole night long, they could last 2 shows before they die. The G10s are going to be around till Jesus comes again, like a good Fender amp will be, of course. So that's the end of this test. If you watched part 1, now you know kind of the whole story. If you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch it. It's still there in last week's blog. And I thank Todd once again for helping me have a place to film with so many pretty guitars hanging on the wall and all of that. And I hope you'll come back. I'll give you a little idea. In the next week or 2, we're going to do a speaker comparison with high-gain amps and British-voiced speakers. I did get, actually I've gotten a couple of comments in over the last couple weeks, folks that have asked me to do some comparisons with high-gain amps and with the vintage 30 and the G12 style speakers, which are mainstays, if you will, of the Marshall amps. And next time we do this, we're going to use probably a pair of Marshall JCM 900 heads, which are kind of a mainstay of high-gain rock and roll. And we will be comparing some Celestion speakers, which would be, OEM and Marshall cabinets, to some of the WGS counterparts, and that should be a lot of fun. We'll get to do we'll do pretty much all high gain. You won't hear really any of this Fender-y sound. It's going to be all about kind of AC, DC, Van Halen sounding stuff. So and we'll set up all the good mics again and do it right. I hope you like it. And be sure to email me. Click on the little email button if you like this kind of thing and let me know that you like it. Or better yet, click on the comments button on the weblog. You have to sign in and give me your comments and your feedback. Let me know if this is working for you, if this is a help for you. And I promise I will do my best to bend my will to match what it is that you want out there. Thanks. See you next week.